Okay, everyone. Thank you for joining this webinar. We'll kick off. My name is Ingolf Ernest. I'm a director of PS Health. We were meant to be joined by Abhishek Agrawal, who's our director of products, but he was unfortunately prevented from taking part. So you'll have to do with me. In terms of the agenda, quick introduction, then we'll briefly talk about this move from paper to digital, look at a quick demo, 4 steps to set up psMOBILE, and then wrap up. You'll have a console in your top right corner with a chance to ask questions. So I'll try to monitor that as we go along. So do ask questions if you have some. In terms of moving from paper to digital, okay, so there are really 2 aspects that we think are important. One relates to productivity and the other relates to compliance. Productivity, less admin, rekeying, better reporting, secure sharing of information are some of the points that we often hear in this context. The other point is relating to compliance. So whether it's adherence to a care plan, pathways, decision support, making collection of data easy and sort of on a track, automatic alerts and reminders to make sure that things happen when they should happen. So those are the 2 big buckets we think are the benefits of moving from paper to digital. In terms of psMOBILE, it's really about connecting stakeholders. So the ability of nurses or care workers or other people in the field to be accessing and capturing information in the field, for clinical directors and operations directors to be able to view the operations from the desk, if you like. And also we've been working hard developing solutions that enables other stakeholders to log in, such as commissioners and next of kin. And I think both of those 2 latter we really will see, may not be great demand right now, but going forward we expect significant take-up. In terms of moving or removing paper, rather, psMOBILE is designed to take all your forms and processes and then be able to present that back either onto smartphones or tablets or onto the web portal. And of course it's exciting now because the cost of hardware is dropping significantly. So, that combined with increasing computer power really, we think, has led to, we're now in the age where, properly removing paper is a real option. Just remind people that if there are any questions that come up during the session, use the panel on the top right. Okay, let's look at the next step is looking at how do we move in a couple of easy steps to set up psMOBILE, and what would this mean for the people who are out there listening. Step 1 is to take your data and forms. Okay, so that could be a risk assessment, it could be a reablement assessment, an incident report, and the data that you capture in connection with those events. Add some workflow rules, so that may be, if you say, if X happens, then ask for an incident report. Connect this to role-based access control to make sure that the right people see the right information. And then lastly, launch it, register the device, and off you go. So what I'm going to try to do today is to walk you through what this looks like in psMOBILE. So if you see here, what you've got is you've got a live feed from my smartphones. I'm using a Samsung smartphone, but our solution works on iPhones and tablets. And what you have here is a number of customers. Obviously, you can search, etc., etc. I've set up for this little demonstration a sample for Jones Scott, a sampling service. So let's see if we can see what that looks like. So inside Jones Scott's homepage, you obviously got access to the, where she lives. You can click on a button and get the map, who's the official case manager, and then some more case details. But what I want to spend time on today is really the two forms here, the RAS assessment and the risk assessment. And I thought I'll show you first that the extent of complex data capture that can happen on these phones. So let's open up the RAS assessment. So the RAS assessment is an assessment to capture outcomes, sometimes used to determine what resource allocation you can have. And as you see up and down here, there are a number of dimensions on which we can score with drop-down, and I'll show the drop-down in a second, going all the way down to, in essence, an automatically calculated. Let's see if this comes up in a second. It just takes a little bit of time for transmission here. Calculate that through to a RAS or a resource allocation score. So let's just scroll up and show you how easy this is to use. So we enter the date, pick today. What you now have is a number of options to select the drop-downs, and this relates to how much support individual needs. So this individual needs a little bit of support for everyday household tasks. Excuse me, that was looking after yourself. We then go down and complete the questionnaire, and I'm just going to race through this in the interest of time. Talk about eating and drinking, communication, looking after your money, mental well-being, keeping safe. And what you see here is that the solution has now calculated an outcome score or a RAS score of 50. There's also quite fancy capability here in terms of taking signatures, etc. So under consent here, I'll just say that the customer is capable of signing himself or herself. We can give the device to the customer to sign. And then finally, we can take the signature by the case manager. In this case, this will be me, Ingolf. Submit the form. And that's really, that's how easy it is to capture relatively complex information. Just going to have a quick look at the panel here to see a number of people. Okay, a couple more people have joined us, so we welcome those. The next thing I wanted to show you was how easy it is to modify these assessments. So let's have a look at, I've put in here a very, very simple risk assessment. Okay, so it's asked for location, and we got home and office. Some relating to risk levels and the probability of risk. This is all relating to the administration and recording of medicines. What's interesting now, we may say, that's not what my form looks like. First of all, I deliver services. I've just won a new service, so I deliver services for a virtual ward. I would also like some note-taking capability, and I'd like to add the date. So what we can do now is go in and go into the web portal. Okay, so here you see the web portal, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull up, and this shows you really the ease of building here. So at the center of this, the data capture is based around forms. So what you can see here is this is the risk assessment, the simple risk assessment we looked at on my phone. And as we talked about, what we wanted to do with this, so this is the form builder inside psMOBILE. So this is in essence where forms are created. So whether you wanted to do a reablement form or a health and safety form, you can either use our library or you can build on something. So let me show you how easy this is. There are a number of form components that can be used and sent out to the mobile phone. So we said we wanted to add the date. Okay, so we'll drag in, see if we can get the date in there. Okay, we'll try one more time. Okay, so adding the date because we wanted to capture the date on the form. We also said that we wanted to expand the list of locations where we deliver a service. So under options, we delete office and we put virtual ward, and we can also add hospital. Okay, so and then the last point we wanted to do is we wanted to add a drop-down or a field or a note-taking capability. So let's, at the end of the form, let's add that and call that comments. Okay. Now, we could also put rules here which says if you answered yes to one, then show the next box, etc. That's a little bit too complicated for this exercise. But what I'm going to do now is we've made the changes we've agreed. We've added the date, we've added location, and we've added comments. And all we do now is publish this form. Now, if you think back on the device, this is where we left the device. What I'm going to do is we're not going to respond to this simple form. What we're going to do is we're going to ask the device to synchronize and collect the latest details. So you see the little wheel will synchronize with the server or with the web portal. And what it should do now is it should pick up the new form that we have created. Okay. Now, in normal life, so to say, in day-to-day life, the phone is typically set to synchronize every 15 minutes, so the user wouldn't have to press the button. Okay, so let's go and open up the little risk assessment. And here you are. So this is the date field we've just added. The next step was we added virtual ward to the form. So we'll click virtual ward. The risk levels remain the same, and we also added a button for some comments. And off we go and submit that form. Now, hopefully, that has shown you how very, very simple it is to take a simple form and make adjustments just as you would in your business. So if we now go back and look into the web portal, so I'm going to go and find Joan Scott. So this is the Joan Scott case that we were looking at. I'm now going to the case record. And what you can see here is not only is the form we just completed now in terms of the risk assessment, including the location of virtual ward, you also have the RAS assessment that we just completed. And let's have a look at that. So this is the full RAS assessment as it appeared on the handset with a RAS score of 50. Going further down here, we should also have the signature from both the customer and from the case manager. And then lastly, you have the ability to print the assessment, or really any, and this can be done opening by using Adobe, and let's see if that comes up in a second. And as you can see, this is the assessment we just completed with the signature, etc. Just cancel that and close that down. And that really is the couple of steps required to deliver or configure psMOBILE. I thought maybe to wrap up, as I said, it's really designed to take your data and forms, take your workflow, make sure that the right people see the right information, and then launch. And of course, as smartphones becomes more and more prevalent here, we have some customers that provide the phone to their employees, and we have some who use the so-called bring your own device. So the phone and the ability can all be turned off from inside the web console. The other thing you have inside the web console is sophisticated analytics. Just as we wrap up, so we have quite an extensive library of apps or underlying forms. So these can relate to health screening, risk assessment, incident reports. For example, incident reports, the ability to take photos and upload is quite handy. Care plans, customer satisfaction, mileage, etc., etc. So we promised you a very brief webinar, 16, 17 minutes. If you have any further questions, on our website you'll find a number of videos and further material, also the phone number, and or contact me, Ingolf Ernest. I'm going to go back and see whether we have any questions. Yeah, so there are a couple of questions here. There's one that relates to sharing of information, and as I said, the solution is set up with so-called role-based access control. So you can very, very precisely define who sees what information. So whether that's a family who can only see the record of their loved one, or it's a care worker working in a particular region, or whether it's a particular set of service users or customers, and or an operation manager who has sort of a helicopter view. Another question here relates to offline working. What happens if the signal is poor? So the reason why you saw we were synchronizing the phone is that the job for the day, or the task, if you like, is downloaded and kept securely encrypted on the device, so that you can complete forms, etc., even if you don't have a signal. Okay, I think that wraps it up. Thank you very much for taking part. We aim to get a copy of this webinar out in the next week or so on our website. And as I said, if you have any questions or thoughts, we'd love to set up a tailored demonstration to you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.